In this video, I will explain the logical fallacy called guilt by association, also known as playing the Nazi card. I'll begin with the general form, explain why it is a mistake, and use some examples of people making this sort of mistake. Hopefully, by the end of the video, you will be able to spot and deal with this fallacy. And if not, well, Adolf Hitler never subscribed to this channel or liked any of my videos. Don't be like Hitler. Hit the subscribe button and the like button. Guilt by association is a fallacy that occurs when either a person or an idea is criticized because of a person, group, or philosophy that it is associated with. The classic example being Adolf Hitler, the Nazis, or Nazi ideology. The general forms are as follows. Person A believes X. The Nazis also believed X. Therefore, A is a bad person. The Nazis believed idea B. Therefore, B is a bad idea. Of course, you can replace Nazi with any person, group, or philosophy that is seen to be bad or evil. The conclusions here are both fallacious. An idea is not bad just because a person that you think is bad believes in it. A person is not bad just because they share a belief with another person whom you think is bad. In both cases, the person or the idea must be judged on its own merit, not the things it is associated with. This fallacy is often combined with other fallacies, like the slippery slope, false analogy, and circular reasoning. Indeed, when directed at a person, it becomes an ad hominem. I'd also like to point out the similarity with the appeal to authority fallacy. Both of these use an association to create their conclusion. The difference is that an appeal to authority uses a positive person to promote an idea, whereas guilt by association uses a negative person to argue against an idea. The danger with both of these fallacies is that it splits people and ideas into simple groups: safe versus dangerous, trustworthy versus untrustworthy, good versus bad, and makes people more likely to accept a falsehood from something they consider to be good and less likely to accept the truth from something they consider to be bad. Let's look at some examples of people making this mistake. The first example takes us back to the 1940s and 50s in the USA. This was the early Cold War in which the USSR and the USA were competing for global power. Both had very different philosophies. In the USA, communism, or indeed any ideology similar to communism, was seen as bad, perhaps even evil. In 1947, a law was passed that meant government employees could be dismissed if it was believed that they were disloyal. During this time, a Senator Joseph McCarthy rose to fame. His now famous question to a suspect government employee was, "Are you now or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party of the United States?" Replying yes to this question would make you a bad person. You would likely lose your job and could even end up in prison. This is a clear guilt by association. In this case, the Communist Party was seen as bad. Being a member of it made you bad also, and the consequences were quite severe. To be clear, there were Soviet spies in America, and the USA could rightfully see them as a threat. But the idea that just being a member of the US Communist Party, including at any time in the past, that this necessarily made you a bad or disloyal person is fallacious. As President Truman put it, "In a free country, we punish men for the crimes they commit, but never for the opinions they have." The next example is from the same time period in the USA. It concerns the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU. The ACLU is a non-profit group that advocates for civil liberties. In 1940, an ACLU founder, Elizabeth Flynn, was expelled because 3 years earlier she joined the US Communist Party. The ACLU felt that it was inappropriate for any of its staff to be a member of any political organization which supports totalitarian dictatorship in any country, or who by his public declarations indicates his support of such a principle. Another clear guilt by association. Again, it is the Communist Party as the bad associate. This example is ironic because it is the ACLU who normally opposes such actions. Indeed, in the previous year, they published a pamphlet titled Why We Defend Free Speech for Nazis, Fascists and Communists. The final example concerns religious belief and morality. Consider the following. Oh, you are an atheist. So was Mao Zedong and Pol Pot. You are evil. For context, Pol Pot was a dictator in Cambodia and deemed responsible for the genocide of over 1 million people there. And Mao Zedong was the leader of the Chinese Communist Party and all of China following the Civil War. For many people in Western cultures, both of these men would be considered bad. But even if they were atheists, this doesn't mean that all atheists are bad or evil. These two were also both men. Can we then say that all men are evil? No. The final point to make here is the influence that culture has. For example, there are people in China today who do not see Mao Zedong as a bad person. So for these people, this argument makes no sense. When you see this kind of argument, consider whether the associate is actually bad. If you object to this, then say so, but be careful, as doing this might give the impression that you accept the fundamental idea of guilt by association. Judge the person or idea on its own merit, not its associates, and this is the key point. As always, politely point out the fallacy, develop better arguments, and have more productive discussions. I hope you now have a better understanding of this fallacy.